A very good evening to one and all, and a warm welcome to the In-Service Skills Enhancement Program presented by VidyaDaan Foundation. I'm Shweta Batra, and I'm here to take you through the session. To begin with, I would like to introduce VidyaDaan to our audience. VidyaDaan Foundation is a transformative non-profit organization. It is dedicated to empowering underprivileged children, youth, and women through the power of education. With an unwavering commitment to fostering a bright future, VidyaDaan is in the forefront for providing high quality education in India, thereby enabling disadvantaged children to unlock their potential. To enhance the quality of education, it also conducts teacher training programs. To remain in the forefront of education sector, it is crucial for educators to stay updated with the latest advancements. Additionally, as a policy requirement, every education professional must engage in 50 hours of continuous professional development, that is a CPD, annually. The In-Service Skills Enhancement Program represents a significant initiative to fulfill this requirement. We are pleased to have trained over 13,000 teachers across India and are committed to extending this opportunity to educators from the CBSE, ICSE, and state board schools. The ISEP is a capacity building program which is designed to enhance teaching skills, provide updates on the latest educational trends, and equip educators with the essential tools needed to excel in their roles. The sessions are both engaging and informative, delivered by industry experts. We shall have a session every Saturday from 5 to 6. Point to be noted is that educators who successfully attend this program will be receiving valid e-certificate, which states that you have completed an hour of training. I'll briefly inform you of this process here. After the presentation by our speaker, we shall be sharing a link, which is a questionnaire that is based on today's content. The attendee who is able to score above 7 is eligible for the certificate. Please note that the link has to be filled before leaving the certificate meeting. In case you want the e-certificate, you have to pay a small fee of ₹100 and you will receive your e-certificate via WhatsApp within 7 working days. Coming to the session titled Active Learning for Competency-Based Education, we have our expert for today, our own Dr. Indira, VMD. Indira Madam is a former agricultural scientist turned educationist. In her school days, she used to learn math by dancing. She began her foray in education by teaching dance to children with specific needs. Gradually, she experimented with other forms of arts, and she's passionately involved in art integrated pedagogy and is continuously exploring innovative ways of creating joyful and engaging classrooms. Currently, she is working as a senior associate with Center in assessment team. It is indeed a pleasure to have you on board, Madam. And Madam is going to share with us her deep insights on the same. And with this, I would also want to tell you is that audience who are having related questions on the topic can post their questions on the YouTube chat, and we shall try to address if time permits. On this note, over to you, Indira, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shweta ma'am, for the lovely introduction. And good evening, namaskar to the world around. And I'm continuously monitoring the comment section over here on my mobile on the YouTube platform, so that respected audience, if you have any queries, please feel free to post your question on the comment box and we can take it up and answer your queries. We shall try to answer as many queries as possible. With that note, I won't give much lecture. Over to active learning. I'm sorry, I'll just stop the screen share and I'll reshare my screen. Yeah. Okay. Active learning in CBE. The CBE is not Coimbatore. CBE is competency-based education. So what are the objectives of CBE? That is, what exactly is CBE? How do you define it? What is the importance? And strategies of active learning, implementing and active learning. These are some of the objectives of today's session. Okay, just some of the objectives. I highlight the word some. All right, because if you look at it, active learning in itself and competency-based education in a totally different context is a very, very in-depth subject. So we cannot completely cover it up quickly as much as I would like to, but within 1 hour. Hence, we shall try to do as much justice as possible. Now, moving on, I hope my screen is visible, and I'll just label these two pictures as A and B. Please take a quick look at this picture, at these two pictures, that is picture A and picture B, and tell me what is the difference between the two pictures. Quickly in your chat box. Please use the comment section. And I'm keeping my eye out on the comment section. What is the difference between picture A and picture B? Quickly. So you have 1 minute. It's 5:20 to be very, very exact. I'm giving you time till 5:22. I'll be a little fair. Okay. I can get a lot of good evening messages. I'm seeing a lot of good evening messages. And I'm eager to see some responses on what is the difference between picture A and picture B. Okay. Rajita ma'am is saying A is teacher-centered and B is child-centered. Okay. Anybody else? Inside the box is picture A, learning by knowledge, learning through knowledge. Okay. Susan ma'am also says teacher-centered. Good evening, Sushita ma'am. Binya ma'am says second one, that is picture B, is student-centered. In picture B, children are more active. They are engaged. They're learning by doing. Ranjisha ma'am says learning by doing. Very nice. So that is indirectly speaking. Now I'll just change my slide. I'll move on to the next one. Now, picture A was, as most of you pointed out, it is teacher-centric, while picture B is student-centric. Okay. And here it is knowledge feeding or knowledge info. Whereas in picture B, it is learning by doing, or you can also say as experiential learning. This EXP raised to AL is experiential, okay? Experiential learning. Both pictures or both styles of learning are equally good. Teacher-centric as well as student-centric. However, when we look at having more empowered, skilled learners, we go for a student-centric classroom. When we have to give in basic knowledge, when we have to drive, when we as driving force, we are providing our students with the basic knowledge, that is when our classrooms become teacher-centric, right? That is teacher-centric and student-centric. Both are equally important. Both are equally good. Both are like the two eyes, right? Teacher-centric is when knowledge has to be given to the children. We are not asking the children to find out. We are giving them with basic information, basic knowledge. And then we are transforming the classroom into something that is student-centric, wherein students learn, they apply the knowledge, and then they create something. So with that note, let's move on to the topic of the day, that is CBE. CBE is what? Competency-based education. Now, what is this competency-based education? It's an approach to teaching, learning, and assessment. There are three parts over here: teaching, learning, and assessment, focusing on what? Focusing on the students' demonstration of learning outcome and attaining proficiency. Okay. So competency-based education, it basically focuses on the students achieving the learning outcome. It does not focus on teacher achieving or completing the teaching objective. There's a difference between objective and outcome, right? I'm sure all of you know about it, yet as a matter of compulsive habit, I would like to share. Objective is what you intend, and outcome is the final result. I plan, my objective is to prepare sambar, but the outcome is plain dal. Okay. That is the difference between outcome and objective. So here in competency-based education, we are focusing on the learning outcome for the student, ensuring that the student attains proficiency in specific competencies of different subjects. Like, for example, in math, one of the main competencies is analysis. Okay, numerical analysis and evaluation. This is one of the main competency. When it comes to science, research is one major aspect. Research, then scientific temper and logic. Okay. In fact, logic comes both in math as well as science. But yes, in science, scientific temper. These are some of the competencies that are prescribed specifically for each and every subject. Now, the NCERT document actually has competencies prescribed for each and every subject. Okay. We are not covering what are the specific competencies for every subject in this particular session. We shall cover that in some other session. For today, it is how to implement active learning and achieve competency-based education. Since that is the focus of the day, we shall move on with that. Okay. So, on that note, keeping the definition of competency-based education or competency-based learning system in mind, here are the key features. The first thing is demonstration of mastery. Mastery over the concept. How do we achieve that? Through well-defined, focused learning outcome. And how do we ensure that the mastery is through well-defined learning outcome? Okay, I agree. Now, how do I ensure my student has achieved the learning outcome and he or she has acquired mastery over it? That is through well-designed, meaningful assessments. By meaningful assessment, I actually mean assessments wherein children are able to apply whatever they have learned, whatever knowledge they have gained into real life aspects. That is, for example, we talk so many things about global warming, right? we say global warming se ye hota hai, global warming se ice starts melting, global warming se glacier is declining, this, that, blah, 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 blah. Now, when we say glacier is declining or the amount of snowfall is reducing, the rain is reducing, temperature is increasing. Now, all these things are completely abstract for the children. How do we help them realize the real life scenario? So one example that just comes running to my mind, or which I quite often have used in my classroom, is showing them the satellite image of Gangotri Glacier. The satellite image of Gangotri Glacier taken way back in the 1980s in November, in the month of November, and Gangotri Glacier satellite image taken in 2020s, same in November month. There's a stark difference in the amount of snow that can be seen in the satellite image. Okay. The moment we project these two pictures, in fact, I actually used it in my class. The moment we showed the students these two pictures, they said, huh, snow has decreased. This is global warming, climate change. Okay. That is having a meaningful assessment. Then moving on, having a well-developed support system that encourages research, that encourages inquiry-based learning, and that actually encourages a thinking classroom within the class, thinking environment within the classroom. And last but not the least, creation of a good knowledge base. These are the 5 points of, or rather the key features of a competency-based learning system, a CBL or a CBE, competency-based education. Moving on, before I speak, I'll wait for a minute and I'll let you all digest this particular interesting picture. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts, please share it. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So these are the objectives of a competency-based education system. That is, having real life learning. This is of utmost importance. You see, quite often there is a huge gap between the knowledge acquired by the students and the employability skills. Unfortunately, though the knowledge acquired by the students is tremendous, it is wondrous, but they are unable to employ it in an actual working environment, in a practical environment. They are unable to utilize it or apply it. Employ it is not the right word, but they are unable to apply it in the environment, in a working environment. Hence, real life learning. Performance improvement is one of the focus areas. That is through continuous feedback, continuous reflections, through different pedagogical strategies. There is an enhancement of performance. Then time resource, utilizing the time and resources effectively. Knowledge, transferable knowledge and transferable skills. Transferable knowledge. This is another matter of utmost importance, that is transferable knowledge. Then personalized and customized way of learning, a customized way of self-paced, rather, I would use the word self-paced learning, and flexible teaching patterns, flexible learning patterns, which is again, in a way, self-paced learning and while the learning becomes multimodal, by what is meant by being flexible is the child or the student actually picks and chooses the subject that they would like to learn, they would like to acquire their mastery in. And a continuous support, enhanced support in the form of peers, in the form of mentors, in the form of teachers, facilitators, etc. These are some of the objectives of competency-based learning. Now we move forward. In other words, competency-based learning is wherein the knowledge enhances the skills and skills enhance the abilities. And because they have enhanced abilities, the students naturally develop an interest in acquiring more knowledge. And this cycle of acquisition or empowerment, acquisition and empowerment goes on and on. This is the ultimate objective of competency-based education, or developing a competency-based learning system. All right, I just take a pause over here. In case you have any questions, please shoot. I'm watching the comment section. Otherwise, we will move forward. The next part is what are the different strategies through which we can develop the competency-based education, or we can rather implement competency-based education in the classrooms. I'm getting no comments, so I assume that I can move ahead. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So, okay, I got a question, that is how knowledge can be improved. I guess that is the question. Yeah, how knowledge can be improved. I will come to that in a while on how we can improve the knowledge. That is more through implementation of competencies, focusing on the competencies and developing well-defined LOs, that is learning outcomes in the classroom. And there are quite a few pedagogical strategies on developing the same. Moving on, so we go to the next part, which is strategies for active learning. Now, why active learning? Do you think it helps us develop CBE? Yes? No? Please share your answers in the chat box. Okay. So my question is, do we need active learning? Why? Or rather, just do we need active learning? Yes or no? All right, we just move on. So here are some of the ways by which we can implement competency-based education. One is to identify critical competencies. Two, reframe the competency as learning outcome. As I told you, there are subject-specific competencies as per the NEP, as per the NCF framework that are prescribed in the NCERT documents as well. Okay. So these competencies can be rephrased as some of the learning outcome. Develop strategic assessments. Strategic assessments, not just the formative, summative exams, but the questions you have should have specific answers with specific solutions, which help the students establish the real life connect. Then look at the critical factors for competency-based assessments and determine the best way to demonstrate competency. Now, let us look at some of the specific strategies of developing a competency-based classroom. Strategy number 1 is a PBL approach. PBL is project-based learning or a problem-based learning. So what happens over here is when you're posed or when a student is posed with a problem, the student needs to have the necessary knowledge or skills to understand the problem. First thing is understanding the problem. What exactly is it? Okay. Then after that comes finding a solution. How do you find a solution? Generally, what do we do at home? Whenever we come across a specific problem, something like, say, suddenly the electricity just went off. What do we do? The first thing we do is there electricity in my neighbor's house? Right? That's the first thing we look at. After that, we look at, or probably we may just inquire around, is there electricity in your house, their house, this house, that house? Then we look around in the newspaper. Did the government or did the electricity board actually put a notice saying that there won't be electricity in such and such area for so many hours, right? That is, we are trying to apply whatever methods we know to find a solution. Correct? And finally, last but not the least, it is feedback and reflection. Now, in the classroom, in a classroom atmosphere, how do we implement this, a PBL approach? This is one small sample question that is there. We want to plant flowers in our school garden, but they just do not seem growing. That is, we are trying to plant flowers, but they are not growing. So your science teacher has given you a task that has come up with a plan on how to grow flowers in the garden. Okay. So that is, now the objective is very clear. Plant flowers, grow flowers in the garden. This is the objective. What is the problem over here? They are not growing. So now what do? We have to find out the reasons on why they are not growing. Correct? We have to find out what could be the reason. Is it the pH of the soil? Is it that the soil is too dry? Like if it is sandy soil, okay, or rather if it is just sand, then flowers, it is difficult for flowers to grow because the sand will not retain any water. Correct? So what is the type of soil? What is the pH of the soil? Is it too acidic? Is it too basic? What is it? How much is the moisture level in the soil? Is it too dry? Is the soil of the right texture? Or is it that the soil keeps holding so much of water that the plants simply wilt away? Sometimes that happens, right? In clay soil, it holds so much of water that, water just does not seep through. So the student indirectly starts recalling or recollecting the knowledge and then understand the knowledge, apply it to the persistent problem at hand. Then finally, they keep analyzing one by one all the different likely causes, the different factors. And that is, they analyze and evaluate. And last but not the least, they create or innovate and come up with a solution. Right? This is the effect of a PBL based approach. Moving on, the second approach, which is the flipped classroom. Now, generally what happens in a classroom? We ask the students to read up on the book, not read up on the chapter, but as a teacher, we give them exposure. We tell them, we provide them the required knowledge saying that this is the chapter, this is what we are going to study today. And we explain everything, all the related concepts about that chapter involved or included in that chapter, right? But what happens in a flipped classroom is, prior to the class, the students have to prepare and participate in specific activities. That is, the teacher or the facilitator or the mentor assigns certain class activities. Sometimes in interviews also, we have something called as a pre-work, right? That is when we are applying for a job. Once the resume is shortlisted, they give us something called as a pre-work. Okay, now the pre-work is having a certain task or a certain assignment to solve. Similarly, in flipped classroom, the teacher assigns a pre-read, okay, or a pre-class activity. The student completes that activity. It may be reading up on a certain specified matter, or it may be something like solving a quiz. It may be a recollection of their prior knowledge, something of that sort. Then, the next day, when the students go to the classroom, they actually apply those key concepts in the classroom. The students apply the key concepts within the classroom and they solve some of the exercises that the teacher sets them. Either solve the exercise or indulge in group activities or have a group project work that the teacher actually assigns them. Okay. So what happens over here is, the student is already familiar with the prior knowledge, the prerequisites, and hopefully the knowledge that is needed for that particular day, for the particular activity. Okay. And then using that knowledge, they are trying to solve the problem at hand, or they are trying to solve the assignment, or they are trying to indulge themselves in group discussion. Okay, they are they're participating actively in group discussion. From there, what is the goal? After that, in class, after class, they actually check the understanding and then extend their learning. So here, three processes have taken place. One, the student has come prepared to the classroom about the concept that is to be learned, that the teacher is going to cover. The student has come prepared. And now the teacher's job has become much easier. The teacher just sets the task and the students have to use the prior knowledge, use the knowledge that they read up, and then apply it in the classroom on solving the task at hand. After that, after the class is over, through self-reflection, through feedback, and through assessment feedback, they check their understanding and extend the learning. This is the effect of flipped classroom, wherein students not only recall and acquire knowledge, but they also understand and apply the knowledge. Okay. Now, the next strategy, this is strategy number 3. And this is personally one of my favorites. Collaborative learning and peer teaching. Okay. So collaborative learning and peer teaching. What is there in that? Please share. I'm looking at the chat box. Type fast, type fast. I'm looking forward. Everyone shares their knowledge. Okay, very nice. What else? Everyone shares their knowledge and understanding. Then, फिर क्या होता है? What happens after that? More knowledge acquisition through sharing. Okay. So here in collaborative and collaborative learning, what happens is, apart from the knowledge sharing, there is also an involved discussion. Okay. And students share their ideas, they interact with each other, they brainstorm, and these discussions sometimes also involve the community at large, especially when it comes to problem solving. Okay. They brainstorm for the different ideas, and then they finally come up with one common solution if it is a problem solving, or if it is something on the basis of, say, an inquiry based strategy. Okay. Then they involve the entire community, they brainstorm for ideas, and finally they interact with the society at large, apart from their own family members and their own peers. Thus, there is a lot of learning happening through experience. Okay. I'll give you one example. In one of the schools, I believe it was in Bangalore, what they did is, the teachers requested rather, the parents to bring any or all of the old home appliances that are not in working condition. Okay. The teachers said that whatever home appliances you have that needs repair, that does not work, that is very old and rusty, please bring it and dump it in our playground. Okay. Quite literally, that is what happened. They kept it, and all the parents, they contributed also very nicely. Okay. All the parents, they brought their old home appliance. Some of them brought their fridge, mixer, grinder, then even there was a washing machine, I remember. And then there was some old, that dabba TV. Everything was there. It was all dumped on the ground. And then the teachers went ahead and they called the local electricians, plumbers, and carpenters. Okay. Then the electricians, what they did is they dismantled the TV. They took out all the different parts of the tape recorder, the washing machine, everything. And they actually showed students, beta, this is a picture tube that used to be there once upon a time. This is one of the things that was used that was used in the cathode ray experiments. Okay. They actually showed it. And from the washing machine, from the grinder, everything, they showed the motor, they showed how it works, what is a positive and negative terminal, how it applies, how it is going to work within a motor or within a house environment, how does it work. Everything, it was shown by these people, and that was one of the best collaborative learning involving the community I have come across personally so far. And it was so intriguing that particular year, most of the children, they could understand electricity and magnetism in physics very easily because they already got a hands-on experience in this, right? So this is one very big effect of collaborative learning and peer teaching. And plus here, what has happened is the competency was also automatically instilled and developed. There was scientific reasoning, logic, and research involved. And the research was not done independently by the students. The research was guided by a well-qualified personnel, by a team of well-qualified personnel. Electricians were guiding them. Who can be more? Right? So this is the effect of collaborative learning and peer teaching. Now, moving on. This is again one of my favorites. That is the Socratic method of questioning. Socratic method of questioning involves asking questions and then helping students arrive at an answer. Okay. So here I'll just take a small pause and I will tell you one joke that happened. Joke, in fact, it was something that actually happened. Okay. One of my colleagues, she was taking an interview. Okay. And she was giving the candidate a real life situation. She said, "You know what is gravity?" And the candidate said, "Yes, I know what is gravity." Then she said, "Okay, what will happen if you remove it?" Okay. Now I'm being very clear. Gravity. And my colleague asked, "What will happen if you remove it?" So the candidate very nicely replied, "You will get gravy." Why? Because gravity, Gravity. And when my colleague asked, "What will happen if you remove it?" the candidate actually interpreted it as it. So ye IT ko nikal diya, what will be there? What are you left with? Gravy. Okay, jokes apart. But Socratic method of questioning, this is what it is. Okay. You ask children, what do you think it is? What do you think will happen if that is not there, or if that is there? Now, what exactly is going to happen? So, in Socratic method of questioning, this is one strategy that you can follow. That is a paperclip method. Okay, paper, P for precision, P for precision. Then is A for accuracy. Again, P for perspective questions. Then equity questions. Equity questions, I'll come to each of them one by one. Then is R, that is relevance. Then clip C, complexity. Then L, logic. I, importance. And last but not the least, that is, what do you mean? Perspectivity, perspective. Okay. This is paper clip. If you see here, PAPERCLIP, paper clip. Precision is to be very, very objective and to be very specific on the question and expect precision, specificity in the answer that we get. Okay. Accuracy, how do we test that? How can we prove it? what helps you develop that perspective? Okay. Then perspective is having a different point of view. Because 10 different people have got 10 different opinions. They have got 10 different perspective of things, right? So having a different point of view, having a different perspective to the question, to the concept, then is equity. Equity is showing a conflict of interest. Is there a conflict of interest over here? Okay. How do you think, or why do you think it is like this? Haven't we seen something else? So that is one way of asking questions. Then comes relevance. How relevant is this to our present situation, to the present day scenario? Okay. That is, relevance is something of utmost importance because knowledge is being updated every day. And every day the situation is changing. So the relevance of the question is yet another important point. Then comes the complexity of the question. Why is this question so difficult to answer? What is that precise thing that makes it so difficult? Then logic. Does whatever we ask, whatever we say, whatever answers, responses we get, is that making sense? Like right now, whatever I'm telling you, whatever I'm sharing with all of you, is that making sense? Is it relevant to your classroom scenario or no? Right? Is it logical? Is it logical for us to ask a nursery child to go and research on how much water she or he would drink in summer and come back and tell us? That's not a logical research, right? For a nursery child, no. Because a child is too young to understand, to distinguish between thirst and hunger, right? To express that. However, if you ask a grade 4 child to say, find out how much water would you be drinking in summer? Will you be drinking less than what you drink during rains or more? Then yes, that is practical. The child can easily find out because the child by then knows what is hunger, what is thirst, what is summer, what is winter, what is monsoon, right? And how I feel in summer. So logical. Then is importance. What is the most important issue on which we have to focus? Right? So that is your paper clip model or paper clip strategy of Socratic questioning. With that, we come towards the end of this particular session. Now I stop my screen share and I throw the floor open for questions. In case of any questions, please shoot, please share in the chat box. Whereas I got a question previously, how knowledge can improve the skills. Oh yes, very much. Knowledge can very much improve the skills because once you acquire a knowledge, why do we acquire knowledge? Because we need to apply it, right? So that knowledge, once we start applying it, but before application, one important thing is understanding. Bloom's level. Okay. Knowledge, understanding, application, creation, analysis, evaluation, creation. That's how the Bloom's level goes, right? So you acquire knowledge and then you start understanding and applying it. That is when your skills start improving. A very simple example I can just demonstrate right away, taking into consideration now I'm assuming pre-primary children for this. Okay. So for pre-primary children, what we do is generally we show them standing line, sleeping line, forward slant, backward slant, right? इतना सा knowledge आ गया है, isn't it? Now, next what I am trying to do is, I am trying to help the children make a mountain and then draw a sleeping line between both the mountains. अब ये क्या हो गया? This has become the big letter A. Correct? And then gradually I introduce one by one different alphabet in this manner. Okay. And then gradually what happens? Once all the alphabet, all the 26 letters are introduced, then I say A, B, ab. Again, child is acquiring a new knowledge now. The child is already having this knowledge that this is एक mountain बना दिया, उसके बीच में एक sleeping line means it is A, the letter A. Now I know that letter A says A and letter B says B. So A, B, ab. Right? Knowledge. Acha. Now I also show them A, P, app. अभी उसके साथ एक T भी जोड़ दिया. Apt. Once I join a T in front, by now children are already having that skill. Okay, if I have one letter and another letter along with it, I have to join the sounds of both the letters. So act or app. Okay. अब ये app के बाजू में I have put a T. Automatically the child will apply that skill and say apt, 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 apt. My one word is taught. This is how knowledge, increasing the knowledge, helps the children develop more skills. Okay. Say an easy way to, I assume it is to develop skill and talent. A very good question. An easy way to develop skill and talent. Here, I would like to say something that my gurus always tell me. There is no shortcut to learning. Having said that, to develop skills or to develop talent, now every child is talented. Okay. Developing the skills, it is highly personal. It is up to the child on the basis of what kind of skill he or she is interested in, on what exactly is the core area that he or she would like to focus upon. Is it reading? Is it communication? Is it writing? Is it numericals? What it is. Okay. So there is no one method or one easy way, so to say, to develop the skills or to develop the talent or whatever. Skills develop over time, but the child himself or herself finds out what is their core area of interest, what is their skill. Yes, children take time. Students take time. Individuals take time in recognizing the skill. But ultimately, that does happen. Okay. All right. On that note, we come towards the end of this particular session. I hope all of you found it fruitful. We shall meet again next time with a different topic. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Just one small thing, since we have time, if we could discuss on it is, supposing, for instance, if I pick out vocabulary building, how can one go about with this in the, kind of methodology that you were speaking about as of now? So just if assuming the child is in grade 1 or 2, and, we are trying to look at, obviously, it's a very universal thing. So how can one go about,
So one strategy that I can actually advise is making learning in the classroom as multimodal. Okay. So when we have a multimodal classroom, we are focusing on 4 different types of learners. That is visual, auditory, read and write, and kinesthetic. Okay. So now when we have all these 4 types of learners, and when we are having one universal lesson plan that focuses on all these 4 learners, we are doing activities in the class. The students are also doing activities for all the 4 categories of learners, right? Okay, I'll be a little more specific on this. For example, parts of a plant. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is, I bring a plant to the classroom. I show my students, children, see this. What is this? This is a plant. Acha. Okay. Now, all of you look at the plant, draw the same thing in your notebooks. Just the way how it looks, draw it in your notebooks and color it. Okay. Now, after that, I give them 5 minutes to draw and color. Once the drawing and coloring everything is done, then I say, okay, keep your books away now. These are the different parts of the plant. That is root, stem, leaves. I point to each and every part on the plant and make the children repeat the same thing. All right. That covers my auditory learners. Pehle kya tha? Coloring it, drawing it, coloring it, visual learners. Now I'm actually saying the parts of the plant and I'm making them repeat it also. So by listening, their skills are enhanced, auditory skills are enhanced. So auditory learners would actually pick it up that way. Okay. Although all the children are doing it. So that has covered the auditory learners. Then comes the next part. I write each and every part of the plant on the board. Ask the children also to write it in their notebooks. Read and write. Last but not the least, as a briefing up activity, end of the class activity, I distribute jigsaw puzzles of a plant. Plant parts ka jigsaw puzzle. I divide the class into groups. I say, okay, all of you take this jigsaw. Now, join this jigsaw to make a complete plant. Here, what is happening? The kinesthetic learners are focused on, but all the children are participating in the activity. Okay. So here I'm focusing on all the 4 learners, but the children, whoever is interested in whatever way they would like to learn, they are picking it up in that way. So once they pick it up, we know, okay, what is the skill or what is the type of learner. Once the type of learner is finalized, from there, we can go back to the skills. Commonly, auditory learners, they are expert communicators. They can communicate very well. Maybe not speaking, but they would write well. Okay. And visual learners, they're very good in their spatial abilities. They can visualize well. Their map reading abilities are quite enhanced in those cases. Okay. So one effective technique which I have found in my experience so far is try to find what type of learner the particular student is. From there, we can figure out the type of skilling.
Yes, I think that really beautifully solves my question, and I'm sure many others who it might have not struck, but it has been answered and will be useful. And as you rightly said, knowing the learning style of the child is like walking into his way of learning and then teaching it in that manner. The concepts become a cakewalk for him, because it's not
Yes,
the concept
exactly.
that is difficult. It is striking the right note is what is important.
That is what is important. And once a note is struck, then, they naturally develop a love for learning.
Very true, very true. And yes, I think this simple example can be well established in any classroom at any age. So it's a simple way of at least assessing and analyzing our students, because knowing our children is very important to successfully implement our coursework or execute it in class. So wonderful. I
Yes,
think
exactly.
there is no other question coming forward, but I do not see any further questions. If I'm not wrong, the attendance link has been shared by the team, and there will be yeah, you can fill in the registration and the link for answering the questions of today. I think the presentation was crisp and clear, so there is no doubt that everybody will score 10 on 10. And with that note, once again, thank you so much for
Thank you,
being here
ma'am.
and enriching our experiences by attending these kind of lovely, wonderful, engaging workshops. Thank you so much, Indira madam. I request everyone to kindly fill in the questionnaire, and in case you're looking for the certificates, you fill it up. If you are not receiving your certificate within 7 working days, I request you to mail us at vidyadaantrainings@gmail.com and mention your name, this session number, that is 012, and also put in your query, and we shall get back to you for sure. With this note, we end this session of ours, madam, and